Hello, good day, it's Rich here, and welcome to day 13 of 28 Days to Hypnotic Success. And you know what? The reason I'm especially excited today is because we're going to be covering a topic that is so fundamental. It literally underpins all the things that are going to cause you to be more successful every single day from now on. Even to the degree you've been successful in the past, this is going to help you go beyond that very easily and comfortably and quickly. One of the reasons is that this is based on a very integrated philosophy, a very integrated way of looking at things. And this today is about adding value. And adding value is so important. It's going to underpin and bring together everything that we've done so far. But as we get into things like how to do convinces, how to do consultation, how to run the perfect consultation every time, how to write stunning press releases, all the kind of things that we're going to be doing right the way through to building up to the integrated model of hypnosis, my unified model of hypnosis. And I think you're going to really enjoy it. It's going to really bring a lot of things together for you, all the stuff that you've been learning. It is absolutely fundamental to the rich model, to rapid, instant change hypnosis. And remember, one of the core things that we want to do above all else is we want to be consistent in the excellence that we bring. And I'm on a mission to make sure that this paradigm of customer service excellence in our industry is embedded within us, which is why when you finish this course, you're going to be able to use the Rich logo, the Rapid Instant Change Hypnosis logo, which is a sign. It's going to be like the kite mark of our industry to show, to show that you are really familiar with all these different parts, with being able to understand the mindset of a customer, being excellent in the way that you work with them, being very consistent in the way that you prepare them and create the right context for change. All these things, right the way through to being able to handle an ab reaction, do an ab reaction drill, and know that and have it embedded within you so that you're just fully prepared for all these scenarios. Now, the thing is, if you're going to be able to do all these things, and not just, it's not just a question of if you're going to be able to do them, because you are going to be able to do them, even if you don't do them now wonderfully and deeply, you're going to be able to, and however wonderfully you do them now, later on that's going to deepen and become stronger, more powerful, and more integrated inside you. In fact, the skills that you've got now are going to come together and blossom and take you. One of my colleagues likes to talk about the mechanic, the engineer, and the magician. And Igor has this wonderful metaphor, and I really love it because he talks about most of us starting off just mechanically doing stuff. And that's certainly how I started off with NLP and Ericksonian stuff. You learn the kind of like patterns, A, B, C, D, and you just do them. And then you start to learn the principles behind them. And you go to another level. You become the engineer, and you can sort of see which bits are going to go where, and you can move them around a little bit. But the magician knows his craft so well that really you trust your intuition. You trust that things are going to come and they will appear. They will be there when you need them. And this is where we're going to head to. But we must have certain systems in place that allow us to do that. In haiku, in the Japanese poetry, there are certain amounts of syllables. You're allowed in a certain number of lines, and the constraints there actually forces you to be more creative. By having some kind of constraint, you're actually more creative. It's the difference between saying, "I'll just write a poem," and you think, "Oh, well, how am I going to do that?" Or write a poem that's 4 lines. And it's got no more than 3 syllables, 3 syllable, with 10 words on each, with 3 syllables in each word. Now you've got something specific you can work with. And so the constraints that we're going to set within the system are designed to maximize creativity, use the scientific principles, as much as the science is showing us that priming and placebos, all these kind of things are working in our favor. But underneath that, we need some kind of heart, we need some philosophy, we need some way of approaching the way that we're doing to make sure that the customers, the clients who we serve, get fantastic value. And the wonderful thing about what we're going to be looking at today is it's going to help you become more confident inside. It's going to help you become more confident by switching your focus from any kind of worrisome thoughts or wondering how you're going to get clients in or any of those kind of things ever. And you're going to develop this part of your mind that simply focuses on other people and what you can do for them. Not in the sense of being a doormat or a martyr or anything like that, or a victim. No. This is about you inspiring other people at every opportunity. And we're going to see how you can do that in small ways, completely for free, no matter whether this is your first day in the industry or whether you've been doing it for years. No matter whether you just want to work with people better or you just want to be a better friend to other people. There are simple things you can do with this philosophy of adding value that will make a massive difference. And this is just a fantastic way to look, because you're going to be so focused on other people. You are going to be so focused on them. And you will have embedded inside you this philosophy of looking after them, this philosophy of making sure that they're okay. And there's going to be one criteria that's going to let you know that at every stage of, if you're out and about in your average day and you bump into people and clients, or you meet someone or you connect on Facebook, there is one criteria by which you're going to know that you're adding value on an energetic level. Because beyond the professionalism that a person might expect, for instance, with a plumber, you will expect that they have certain expertise and with their instruments, their tools, and being able to stop leaks and fix radiators, and install certain systems. That professionalism is something we want, but we want something more than that. We want somebody who, when they say they're going to turn up, turns up on time. We want somebody who, when they interact with us, makes us feel good, reassures us, puts us at ease. We want somebody, if we ask a question, can explain, give us an answer that speaks to that. Not too much, not too little, but just, gives us the answer that we need. We want that person to work in a particular way that's efficient. They don't necessarily need to rush it, but they'll do it in a reasonable time frame. And they will deliver exactly what they say they're going to deliver. And they'll check with us to make sure that we're happy. And I think that little philosophy and that little nugget there is something we can take in every interaction in our lives. It doesn't matter whether you're going to a shop counter and you're bumping into someone. It doesn't matter whether you're with a cashier. It doesn't matter whether you're just sort of saying hello to somebody. The one criteria that's going to let you know that you have integrated this philosophy of adding value in your life is, do you leave the other person feeling better off than when you met them? Do you always and do you consistently in every interaction in your life leave other people feeling better off than before they met you? Now, this is really important because when we're unconscious and we're doing things unconsciously, what happens is we get blinkered and we'll go about our day focused on certain things. And we may have certain people and certain key points where we're going to be uplifted and energetic and enthusiastic. But if we're not doing that for everyone else, then we just leave a trail of people who might feel, if we behave in a crummy way towards them, or we just don't appreciate them, even if it's somebody in a shop, then what we're doing is we are, every step of that way, we're just basically unconsciously taking more of a deposit out the goodwill bank, if you will, rather than continually topping it up, paying it in. And that's what we're going to do here. And you're going to see that this is so vital in terms of working with clients, because at every opportunity when somebody contacts us, or when we're working with people, or we're discussing something, or doing a consultation, or we're taking a call, if we help the other person and we leave them in a state where they're feeling inspired, then we've added huge value to them, because we're in the process of selling people on themselves, of inspiring people, of giving them hope, of helping them believe in themselves. And this is going to be reflected in all our marketing. So we're going to see very clearly today how you can integrate this into everything that you do. And because you're integrating this today, even as you start to listen now in a whole new way with your unconscious mind, your conscious mind can follow along and really enjoy the information today. And rest assured that unconsciously, everything is going inside to a very deep level. The philosophy of how can I add greater value? And consciously, you understand that it's important to deliver a good service. And yet unconsciously, you have received good service before, and you've also received poor service. And at the emotional unconscious level, you know the difference. And consciously as well, you have some sense, a kind of a general sense of when somebody delivers something to you in any area of life, and you either really like it or it just seems somehow average or mediocre or even worse. And so unconsciously today, as you stay motivated, as you're here and because you've chosen to come here tonight, it means that you're fully able and motivated to take these learnings to a very deep place so that you use it to develop greater confidence inside to be able to market all areas of your life with more elegance, with more panache, with more confidence, knowing that people will be understanding and taking those learnings inside to a wonderful deep level. Now, the beauty at the unconscious level of simply absorbing all this information, this way of being inside, this way where you are completely focused on every interaction that you have with another person with as much benign, present moment awareness as you can, truly allows the other person to feel valued in a way that they genuinely haven't really experienced or don't experience on a consistent basis. And you're going to see that because you are committed to being one of the best people in your industry, to operate from the highest standards, then it means that this philosophy will be imbued in everything that you do. And so what's really cool here today, as we start to really get into this now, as we get into the meat and potatoes of today, looking at what it is, how you can use this, you're going to find that this is beautiful. This whole philosophy of having customer excellence right the way through everything that we do in a very consistent way, based on the latest scientific research, based on influence principles, based on really making sure that your skill set is absolutely well rehearsed, you're delivering a fantastic performance every single time, means that people are going to feel special. They're going to feel self-worth. They're going to feel loved and appreciated by you. And it's going to improve all your relationships with friends, specifically with your clients. They are going to just start experience change and feeling better just by being in your presence, which means that you are this actual adding value to them is a perfect kind of it's just the perfect way to do business, because if people have a problem, they feel good, like you're the person who can resolve it. They have absolute confidence because you're setting everything up and you're marketing right the way through. And this is part of the kind of invisible frame of reference that makes them feel appreciated and know that they can trust you because you're going to deliver. And it makes it an easy choice for them to come to you as the expert. Let's see why that is. The first thing to consider is, what do people need? I mean, what do people want? I mean, what do people need in their lives? And we're going to look at that today. We're going to look at what kind of things people need and what kind of things that they want, because the typical person wants to feel, particularly if they're a potential client, but even just people in general, we want to feel listened to, we want to feel valued. We often don't feel particularly valued. We want to feel heard. We want to feel special. We want to feel like other people will take the time to connect with us. We want to feel like we have friends. We want to feel good about ourselves. But what do they get? What do people typically get? What do we get? I mean, I can't speak for every culture, but in the UK, I think it's fair to say, as a general rule of thumb, our customer service is pretty poor. I mean, it's a big generalisation, and it does depend where you go, but we have a lot of poor customer service, particularly things like for the broadband, off your mobile phone, people will offer you deals to get you in on this, and then afterwards, if you actually want to get through and get some help and advice, you typically get stuck in long queues. It really depends who you speak to. They will give you any old they'll take you around the houses. You can phone 10 different people, get 10 different answers. You don't feel like people really have your interests at heart. And this is going to give us a clue, because people generally will, they want to feel loved, cared for, valued, special. They want to feel like they've got self-worth. But what do they get in their daily lives around the world? What have they had since they're little, other than the moments when they did the right thing and their parents really gave them a little bit of approval? Well, they feel unappreciated. People interrupt them and give them advice. They're often ignored. Even by loved ones, they feel often by loved ones and friends, just because, loved ones and friends are just busy doing certain things and they just want to interrupt and give advice. And they don't really have anyone who actually takes the time to not give advice and be present there and give them full 100% attention and really take the time to get to know who they are and really try and understand what they're saying. And this is an art, and it'll take a little bit of practice. It'll take a little bit of willing to make mistakes, because mistakes are a good thing, because it means we're learning. The only time it's tough making mistakes is really, if you don't actually take the time to learn from it. And if you took like a ridiculous unnecessary risk, taking the chance to be able to listen to someone and appreciate them, the risk in that is that the risk is only if you don't do something like that, then you don't separate yourself from everyone else. If you want to position yourself as an authority figure, if you want to position yourself in this industry as an expert and have fantastic customer service, or you just want to have better customer service in the work that you do outside this industry, or you want to be a better friend, or a better parent, or a better partner, then the key is to make sure that you can add value in these small ways. And you're going to see some of these ways are real, small and easy. It's but that's and it's true. These are tiny, teeny little, easy little things in some ways, but they require a little bit of conscious awareness and mindfulness and a decision to use them, because when you come from this and you iron out some of the old patterns that you used to have, you will continue to get better and better results with people, because you inspire them, because you leave them feeling better at every point when they connect with you. Even if they come to your website, by the time they leave that, they should feel inspired, they should feel motivated, they should feel uplifted. I have this all the time. I go on Facebook and I've got the English sisters on there, some friends on there, and they put these beautiful posts in the morning and I feel uplifted. And so every time I see a post from them, I smile and I feel better inside. There's a wonderful lady in the who's a fellow hypnotist, who is a thalidomide survivor, and she's just the most inspirational coach and hypnotist. And I remember just going on her website. I've never met her, I've just gone and spent time on her website, and it's just full of inspirational messages about change and about being determined and about not giving up. And I just felt just uplifted after that experience. I felt inspired. These are ways in which we add value to other people through our marketing, through our messages. And once you understand that, then you build that in and you realize that even though you might not have appreciated it until now, you have a massive amount of power to help hundreds, thousands, more people around the world to feel better inside, to feel uplifted, to feel like there's hope, to just have a better day because of the way that you add value. And you can do that on a unit level, on an individual level, for each person you meet as well. So let's have a look here. So we said that, what people want is to feel loved. What they get is poor customer service. What they get is being unappreciated advice. They get people interrupt them and giving them advice, and they feel ignored. So they consequently have some emotions. They feel unloved, they feel unworthy, and they feel not good enough. That is, I think, enough of a generalization. It's certainly true of pretty much most clients that you'll have, but I think for the majority of us, feeling unloved in some level, feeling unworthy in some areas, and feeling not good enough, it's just endemic. Now, of course, what happens when we feel unloved? Well, the thing is, clients come to see us again, they feel unloved, they feel unworthy, they feel not good enough, they have these unmet needs. They have to fill the gap. What do they fill it with? Well, they fill it with food, they get bigger, they fill it with drink, they have other problems, maybe they fill it with gambling, they fill it with some distraction or some kind of habit. And there can be a whole bunch of these, And I think if you think in terms of a gap that needs to be filled, then really anything that we can do, even outside of our sessions, even outside of a hypnotherapy session, just in our general day-to-day interactions with people, just in our consultations, that helps them feel appreciated would automatically be helping them feel the gap, so they're going to feel better. So, if they do want to choose a hypnotist or a therapist or a coach to come and see, they're going to think of you, and they're going to feel very good about it because they're going to feel trust, which they should do, because they're with an industry expert. They're with somebody who, that is their mission, just to add value and look after people, and they are happy to give without expectation. They care. That's the kind of person they are, and they've embedded this philosophy. And you are a caring person if you're in this profession, but you still need to have a strategy to make sure that you reflect that in adding value to people. It may be practical value, but more often than not, it's going to be an energetic value of inspiring them. There are lots of ways that you can do that. We're going to look at some of those as we go through. It is actually when we look at what can you do, well, the thing is, what can you do to add value? Well, it's got to become a natural way of being. Will set you apart from everyone else. And we're going to see in just a moment the normal chain of average or mediocre customer service. When you compare that with excellent customer service, you're going to see the difference. Right. It's really important, actually. This is a really important distinction. The quality of attention. The quality of attention that you give to a person, being fully present and fully concentrating on them, is the quality of the attention determines the happiness, the self-worth, and the appreciation that the other person feels. So we've already discovered that most people are feeling unappreciated, unloved, not good enough, unworthy because of certain things that have happened in their lives. Even the people who act very confident, they're papering over that, okay, they have gaps that need to be filled. By us taking time when we bump into friends, when we chat with them, when we speak with people we meet, fellow colleagues or potential clients, and we actually fully concentrate on them, and we're interested, we're genuinely interested, we're totally paying attention without giving advice, without making suggestions, without interrupting. Oh yes, I know that's difficult because you do have so much wisdom inside. But just doing that and being present for them, you'll transform them. It's the quality of the attention, and I see this all the time. It's really interesting when I'm out and about. Now I've got a little boy, and I see there are parents who just are completely, amazingly focused on their children. And there are other folk who will come in, they may come into a shop or whatever, and their kid's got some kind of device or something they're playing on, and the parent just comes in, there's a whole interaction without looking over at them once, without smiling, without making eye contact, maybe just orders them a sugary drink and hands it to them. I'm not making any judgment about that or any of this really, but there's no, the fact that happens in that environment there, which may not be representative of other areas, already gives me some clues as to potentially where things are going to go in one way. And I'm really of the opinion that giving people quality, benign attention is the way to help them pretty much overcome whatever they need. And by helping people be in a stimulating environment where they're having interaction with other people, their brain cells grow, they feel happier, they feel more loved, they feel more connected, they feel more alive. We are creatures, we are social creatures, and we need contexts that stimulate us. And anyone who can just through a smile, to the simplest gesture, can make us feel better, is somebody who has added value to us. As they've basically uplifted us. They have, in that small interaction, even if we've never met them before, even if it was just for a split second, and they smile and we smile back, they've added value energetically, which means they'll leave us having a better day, they'll leave us having a better experience. And this is something that we can use as a metaphor and even a practical tool to be able to use right the way through everything that we do. So we're going to look at some strategies that you can embed and use right now and on an ongoing basis. It's a thinking. This is a way of thinking and approaching what you're doing, so that when you are doing your client empathy maps, when you're writing your copy, when you're writing press releases, when you're doing Facebook Live, when you're doing all these kind of things, when you're putting Twitter out, you're not doing it from a point of view of, I hope I look good, or I hope I look great, or I hope I impress people, or whatever it is, or, oh, I don't know, I feel a bit nervous, or, oh, I feel a bit anxious. No, you're putting out something wonderful with the intention of inspiring other people. And it doesn't necessarily need to be kind of any over the top kind of like little thing, but you're just doing that. It could be a nice picture. I'm on the train today and I'm traveling around Japan, and it's a beautiful picture that I've seen here, and you post it on, or like I'm traveling today, and it makes me think of how much just how important it is those people who in your life who I'm seeing old friends today, and it's made me realize how important all my friends are in my life. I just want to let you know I'm thinking of you. My friend V the other day, she put on her Facebook that she's traveled all over the world, being a very successful coach, worked in Dubai, and she's just a wonderful, gifted woman. And she's like, I just want my friends to know, my door's always open. I know we connect on social media, but my door's always open. And my house may not always be tidy, but come in, have a cup of tea. It's lovely to see you, And I just thought, wow. And I just felt loved. I felt appreciated. As a friend, this is for all friends. But, just that sentiment, that idea was uplifting and inspiring. And the more that you do that, the more that you come from that place, the better your life's going to be and the better everyone else's life's going to be. So we're going to look at some specific strategies where you can add value in your business. We'll look at some specific business applications, particularly the number one thing that people want. What's the number one thing that a customer today wants, if they say they want a book? Well, it is the speed of delivery. It's absolutely the most crucial thing. They would, if they can get it, if they could wait, and get it for a couple of dollars or, a couple of pounds from, Hong Kong, but they can get it for $20 in the next hour or next day delivery from Amazon, they will pay $20 by and large. And the reason is people want things quickly. They want them fast. And so the quicker you can respond to client requests, the quicker you can respond to requests for consultation that come in, the quicker when somebody's booked, you can get back to them efficiently, have your systems all lined up, okay? So this whole thing of having the systems there so that you know what you're going to say, that you have your emails ready to send and the booking references ready, and you have all that stuff ready, so when you finish your consultation, somebody's booking, in the process of booking, the moment they've booked, you send out the confirmation by text, you send out the confirmation by email. And the quicker you do that, the quicker you reassure them, the quicker they have peace of mind, the quicker it deepens their sense that you are a consummate professional. And this is just vital. And let me tell you that there's few things that I've integrated into business that have caused greater success for me than being very clear. Somebody phones up, I'll take the call or I'll call them straight back. Doesn't matter how busy I am, I'll say, look, I can't really speak now, but your call is really important. Let's speak at 8 o'clock tonight, quite often it'll be a bit later. If I've had to give my son, time to read my son, get him settled down. But I'll stencil that in with them, and then I will call them exactly when I say, and I will totally deliver on making sure they feel cared, appreciated, worthy, listened to, and they feel inspired by the end of the call. So it's really important, and I think today's really important. I think this is pivotal at this kind of halfway point between the foundational stuff we've done and all the deeper, the real, because you have that picture, that bird's eye picture of, that hypnosis is marketing, marketing is hypnosis. And if you embed this, as you are doing at an even deeper level than you had done before, what it means is that any kind of residual thing about charging money, or any residual thing about, influence, or are we manipulating people? Well, you are, in a way you are, I guess, because you're deliberately taking the time to help another person feel good and feel great inside. So you have to ethically ask yourself, do I want to be somebody who is unconscious? In which case, the way that I interact with people and the way that I do business, the way that I put my website up and the way I write things, it's just a scattergun thing. I may make them feel crappy, rubbish, good, inspired, no idea. Or do you want to come from this place where you come with good intentions to leave other people feeling better and happier than they were in the first place? And can you live with yourself knowing that, that's what you're doing? Can you live with that level of manipulation, knowing that what you're doing is actually doing everything that you can to add value to other people so that they're going to feel better. Now, if you do that, and I suggest that you do this, you adopt this philosophy without any particular thing in mind, without any desire to get money, all that stuff will totally take care of itself anyway. But you're not expecting anything from anyone else. You generally are giving from your heart. This creates, of course, like a sense of gratitude, a sense of appreciation, and really the power of gratitude. Things will all come back to you. You know, people talk about the law of attraction, however you want to define that, or talk about it, or conceptualize this. I just think it's not just one of the most exquisite things you can do, but you'll find that consistently adding that value to people really is very transformative. And so whatever you're doing in business, you're doing it, in your workplace, you have more of a smile. How are you doing? You're taking a little moment to connect. Well, it's nice to see you. I just, how did that go the other day? And you're sitting back and listening. You're not like, oh, I suppose it must have been like this. No, it must have been like that. And, oh, I can relate to that. Oh, yeah, I know, I totally understand that. Yeah. Oh, and I did that one day as well. And I went there, and you're cutting it short and you're coming in with your story and you're chuntering on without actually taking time to listen. So you're going to get really good at doing this, because when you listen, and you do it in the way that we're going to be talking about here, remember we've talked about that in the power of questions, but it's so vital because underneath that, underpinning that, is this concept of adding value. You're being a person. I mean, if you're in the therapeutic industry, you want to help people feel loved and worthy so they feel empowered so that their old problems dissolve. Well, those unmet needs, arguably one of the greatest values you can do is to help people plug those. And you can do that simply by being present and not judging them and not trying to interrupt them, just by being there and just listening and just actually being there for them. And it sounds strange because it's kind of may seem counterintuitive, like, well, surely I should be advising and saying this and doing that. But think about it. Would you rather have somebody who's saying to you, if you say, well, I've got a little bit of a problem, and they say, oh, no, what you want to do is you want to do this and you want to do that. And when you want to do this and you want to do that. First of all, if you habitually behave like that, you are presupposing a problem into existence. That problem didn't exist. And the other person may not even feel that they had a problem. But the very fact that you are giving them unsolicited wisdom and advice and interrupting them, means that you're not respecting them. They haven't had a chance to feel heard. Secondly, the fact that you're giving them advice makes them feel that they're less than, because the fact that you're telling them you must do this and that means that you totally think that they are incapable of being able to come to those conclusions themselves and having even considered them before and all those options, which they almost certainly would have done. But more importantly, we're not, by behaving in that way, it is presupposing the problem into the existence to the extent that you're saying that, oh, I see what you're saying there. Clearly it needs a solution because you're incompetent to be able to deal with that yourself. And because you can't, because you're doing that, because you've even said that, clearly means that you need a solution because it's a problem, because otherwise why would you have said it? And that kind of, and we aren't saying it in those terms, but the fact that we do that constantly with people means that we are not helping them plug the gaps inside of feeling better, that where they need to feel better. So just by stopping those old habits, certainly as a therapist, certainly as a coach, but as a friend, as a parent, as a partner, being able to do that and just sit back and listen, it is massively transformative, massively transformative. And arguably that will be adding so much value, and in fact, and can well be therapeutic enough in itself to help a person just change and transform. Because remember, all we're doing is helping people we're creating a context in which people can transform for themselves, where they can use their own inner resources to be able to tap into latent potential to be able to transform. So we're not really doing anything anyway other than creating that context and environment. Now that is important, and the things that we do to help set that up for the person, but they're doing it themselves. So why would we want to shortcut that? Why would we want to try and sort of put a spanner in the works in that process by saying, oh, hold on a minute, you're trying to, you're saying something there, and well, clearly the fact that you've even started saying that means that you're a bit of a fool who can't actually sort it out yourself. And clearly you need somebody like me to say that, because you can't sort that out yourself. And And, no, there wasn't a problem anyway. That person is speaking, they're talking. Don't presuppose that it is a problem, and don't presuppose that a greater problem into existence by interrupting them and trying to give them advice and solutions when they're the people who already have the ability inside them. It's just they need the environment created in which they feel capable and worthy enough to be able to just give themselves permission to go ahead and do that, which being there and being present for them and listening to them without interrupting them can give permission for them to do that now. So this is really exciting when you start to think about that. We're going to go into this in a little bit more detail. So small acts of kindness, we're going to look at them. So small acts of kindness, going through and somebody's got a major achievement, give them a little like on Facebook. Oh, that's brilliant, well done. Go and do that with as many of your friends as you can each day. And you can do that, and it's lovely, and it's a real simple little thing that you can do. But paying a compliment, a genuine compliment. I really love your top that you've got. That a genuine compliment, a little smile, any little random acts of kindness will become magnified over time, and you are constantly adding value to other people. The key is that you want to leave people feeling better off than when they met you or before they spoke to you. And if you do that, your life is going to improve. And so will your clients, and people will come to see you, and people will really enjoy that experience. They will be happy to pay for the privilege of doing that, because you're somebody who really stands out. I mean, you're the person who says, look, I'm going to do this at this time, and I'm going to give you this service, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to treat you better than you've ever been treated before in life, and I'm going to give you, I will give you complete undivided attention, and I will help you take charge of your mind using your powers of intelligence, imagination, and concentration. And you deliver on that. And you make sure you deliver on that. And you check with them afterwards to make sure they're happy that you have delivered on that. And this just alone sets you apart, but you are constantly in your mind. You have this attitude of service towards other people. And so when you think about developing products as well for other people, and you've got your client empathy map, and you understand, the need for it and the niche and where you're going, you're constantly thinking, what do these people need? What does this group need? What does, if I think about one person in this area, what do they need and how can I give it to them? And you're constantly asking yourself, how can I do better? How can I give more? So I want to think about customer service generally. This can be our service, obviously, towards our client, but I think this is a very simple way that I think will give you a little contrast. So even if you think about bumping into a friend, even if we were to think about it on the level of bumping into a friend and having a conversation or a colleague, you'll get this. I'm going to think about this, I guess, I'd like to think of it in terms of us delivering service and massive value to a client. And perhaps when we look at mediocrity first here, you might think about an experience like going into a shop where they didn't really take good care of you, or some other service. Because here's the thing, people have a problem or they have a need. So you either need to buy some new clothes, or you have a problem, you bite your nails. Now, poor customer service, mediocre customer service is, you'd phone up somebody, let's say you phoned up a potential, I don't know, it could be a potential hypnotist, or maybe you go into the shop to buy something, whichever example. But let's say that somebody phoned up a hypnotist. In fact, I'll tell you a true story, because I'll do my best to sort of, you're not going to know who it is, so it doesn't matter, but because they live miles and miles away, they don't live in Wales, they live in another country. But a couple of years back, I decided I wanted to have some hypnosis myself. So now I've used recording, self-hypnosis, and we've done loads in our trainings, but there were a couple of things that were coming, there were loads of stuff going on, and I thought, there's something I really want to get a handle on. Now, I didn't even really know what I would call this thing. Let's just call it an uncomfortable feeling. And I just thought, what I really want to do is I want to find a hypnotist in the UK that I trust, that I can work with. That's all I want to do. I thought, well, how difficult can that be? And I thought, well, it's a little bit tricky because I've been doing this for a long time, so I want somebody who I just really can believe in. And at the time I was studying a particular approach. I won't say what it's called, but has some very interesting stuff to it. It's very much a paint by numbers approach. It's got 5 steps to it. And it's always going to be the same 5 steps. So that is a little bit of a limit and a bit of a constraint, but I really like it because the main part of it is regression. So I thought this is fantastic. So I looked for people who've done this particular method in the UK. I thought that would be good. I mean, although I have an NLP background, I just some of the sort of stuff's a little bit mixed results, and I just kind of like, rather than going say down the route of timeline therapy and stuff, which I've done many times, I thought it'd be useful to I just kind of wanted something that I thought where it could go quite deeply. I mean, I found it very easy to sort of get into emotions and experience them, so I thought it would be a great way to go. And that's my instinct was right, I think, as we'll see. But what happened was, so I go through on the internet and I look for this particular approach that has some, it's used sort of reasonably widely. And so I find a few practitioners. And so I kind of read their things, and a few of them have numbers to contact, so I contact them. And I think 2 of them got back to me. One was sort of more NLP based, and I kind of thought, well, I just want somebody who's going to do some hypnosis. I was just kind of where I was at, even though I obviously use that. I wanted somebody who, or I wanted somebody who could integrate them both together, because I always do NLP hypnotically. But anyway, that doesn't matter. I knew what I wanted. So there's one lady. Now she lived a long way away, and she was like, "Oh, sometimes I come down your way, so I could come to your house." And I said, "Well, look, I'm happy to travel. I think and I'm happy to pay. I'm happy to travel." And honestly, that really I think is probably the way it should work. But anyway, she said, "Oh, no, I'll pop over your house one weekend." So I said, "Oh, it's rather good." And she said, "Yeah, something like 50 quid or whatever, or 60 quid." And so now, okay, things are starting, a little sort of like things going in my mind. So she said within a couple of weeks, she was popping down to see her, I think her partner who lived around here, and she came in to see me. And it was very strange because she came and said, "Oh, I thought there was going to be an office in there." I said, "Oh, we've got the lounge here." And so we went in, and it was very interesting because we were very early on. First thing that happened was she gave me some suggestions, and I didn't quite hear. She had quite quiet voice, didn't quite hear. And she did a thing that I'd seen that they tell you to do in that particular training, which is, "Oh, well, you closed your eyes and I didn't tell you to. So aren't you following on to my suggestions?" So I was like, "No, sorry, I didn't hear you." And she was like, "Something's going on here." And so I was like, "Okay." So she's trying to train me to speak in fine, but I thought, well, I wouldn't really go about it in that particular way, but I'm going to let that go. We'll get to another little section, and all of a sudden, the whole feelings are just presented. I mean, it's like I'm banging whatever emotional. I don't even know still don't know really what it is, but it's like this whole overwhelming film is just right there. You've got absolutely everything coming up, which is how you're doing. I'm like, this is completely coming up, like, and I'm expecting it to sort of say, right, well, let's regress. We can do that. We can regress right off the affect bridge. There are so many ways you could go with that, and she said, "Oh yeah, well, of course we're not going to do that today. We're not going to deal with it that day because this is just a foundation day, just to practice making sure that you can go into trance." And I'm sitting there thinking, this has come up. You've got everything here to go with. And so then she goes, she said, "Oh, what we'll do today is we'll do a bit of tapping." I said, "Well, how is that?" So I went along with the session. This is, by the way, this is what I'm thinking inside my mind. I'm not saying this, I'm just going on as a client. We did the session, and I was really crestfallen actually in that experience, really crestfallen, because I just had probably one of the greatest opportunities in my life I could see, like, to massively break through and change. Somebody stopped and said, "Oh, we're not going to do that." So we do that in session 2. Session 1 is where we just have a bit of, even though we've had we've booked like a couple of hours or whatever to do this. I mean, it was just absolutely crazy. So anyway, then after that we agreed a follow-up session for a week later, and that was going to be in another country. So I'm like, I'm all ready, and so I'm trying to confirm this with her, and then it gets to about the day before, she says, "Oh, I don't know, I'm quite busy at the moment." So, but and then I sort of went on for several weeks, and she was like, "Oh no, I'm doing this. Now I'm going to see my boyfriend this weekend." And then we got I think about a month later, she was like, "Oh, I'm passing by this weekend. I'll swing by and we'll have another session." And I said, I made some excuse, and she sent me the various messages saying, "Oh, that's such a disappointment. I was really looking forward to seeing you." So can you get an understanding that, I mean, you know, I know that my traumatizing experience trying to find a good hypnotist. So please, I'm sure there are, I know that you guys listening here kind of, you know, your heart goes out, and I know you're thinking, well, you know, I know somebody I can recommend for you. And please, you know, absolutely. I feel like in a way now I've got a wonderful community of people. And please, you know, I'm just always open to suggestions, and I know that you can see here now how, for me, this whole concept of really making sure in our industry the standards are strong and robust, and we deliver on what we say, we will stand out. Because that kind of, you know, those kind of things like flakiness and not being able to just work, not having that flexibility to be able to work on a regression basis with somebody conversationally, you know, if something comes up for them, you should be right on it. You should be confident to go with that. And you might think about that, you know, if you don't want to think about, if we don't want to think about it as a specific hypnotic state, I can tell you working at that level emotionally can be a very, very quick way to work. If you've got something uncomfortable that comes up, think of it as an anchor. It's an old feeling. You can go back, you can delete that, you can certainly neutralize it by you taking learnings from it, using other emotions, getting them to replay that in different ways, in a dissociated way. There's loads of things you can do, and you know, and they will be out of that feeling within the split second that they connect with it, so that you can just literally distance it and tone it down and reduce it. There's so many ways you can work. You don't just say to somebody, oh, we'll do that another week, you know, because we don't do that this week, you know. Today we're doing painting our nails, you know. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I mention that because we've all had bad customer service. We want to be an industry that delivers robustly. I know a lot of us, a lot of people work part-time, people work from home. That's nothing to that makes that they can those people can still be absolute consummate professionals. You know, it doesn't matter where we're working, how much we're working in this. It is for the whole industry. We need to be experts, and we need to be very professional in the way that we do things, because poor customer service is where somebody tells you things, they don't listen, they'll interrupt you, they'll tell you stuff, they'll give you quite a mechanical response, because really it'll come across they couldn't really care less. You know, if they're like, oh, well, I've got to do this, oh, you know, I'm visiting my boyfriend, you know, and you know, and you can see that's not really going to help in terms of boosting self-worth in a person. They will tend to parrot fashion things. They'll be quite inflexible. You know, if you phone up and you've ever spoken with somebody on the phone, they, you know, whether in the UK here, it's a really bizarre thing. You can be with a company for 10 or 15 years with a particular mobile network, and yet at the end of the year, when your contract with that particular price thing comes to an end, they'll whack it right up and try and screw you. And the only way that you can actually sort that out is you have to go up to them and go through a rigmarole where you pretend, well, you threaten to leave, or you actually go through the process of leaving, in which case they put you through to the disconnections department, and the disconnections department may will just say, oh, look, you know, I've spoken with the boss, or I've looked in the system and we can give you this deal. And you know, because you'll say, well, look, I've spoken with another company and they're going to give me this, and they'll say, oh, you know, we'll give you that. But honestly, that whole, it's almost like contemptuous, and it really doesn't. It's a very poor cultural thing across a lot of industries, and so we need to be vigilant of that. And we need to build in terms of what we're doing to make sure, because we are there to inspire people and help them change their lives. So everything that we do, we must be congruent with that and move that forward, because it feels right inside us. And because if we're doing that, then everything's going to really take care of itself in the most wonderful way. But mediocre customer service, it's simply a transaction. The person's turning up, taking the money, and it's like, and they're pleased really when you're gone. They don't really, they don't care. It's like the disinterested person in the shop, or the disinterested waiter or waitress. So that's mediocre. Mediocre customer service is you're telling people, you interrupt them, you couldn't care less, everything's mechanical, it's inflexible, it's simply a transaction, you know, take the money and they're gone. Now, you will meet people when you go into, say, for instance, a supermarket. You'll meet people who just make eye contact with you and smile and ask you how you are and ask to pack your bags. And there's just something about them that, you know, today we had a party for my son at the school, and there was one of the teaching assistants there. And she couldn't do enough. We were there, and she had this wonderful smile on her face, and she's got to be there at the weekend, just basically to let us in and out for this party. She hangs around, you know, for a few hours for it, and she's got a smile on her face, and she gets the table and chairs, and she can't do enough for us. And at the end, she's there helping us clear up, and she's, oh, I'm so pleased you had a wonderful time. And she's got 2 kids, and, you know, it's like on a weekend, she'd be back home with her kids. She's there. And she's so happy and joyful, you know, you just feel, just being around her, you feel happy, you feel inspired. And it's really lovely. We know people like this, and you want to be one of these people, because you'll inspire clients to be clients, you'll inspire other people, you'll feel better inside yourself. And quite frankly, that kind of good feeling will start to amplify, and it will come back to you in many ways. So customer excellence is where you add value through care, attention, and professionalism. It goes without saying, in 28 days to hypnosis success that you're doing here, at the end of that, you'll be able to use the rich logo in your promotion, your marketing. That's going to be available. That's going to be available for all bootcamp members who go through and do this, and make that commitment to professionalism and skill development and real ongoing commitment to mastery of the whole process of creating context, the right context for clients to change, and skill development, and the hypnosis of marketing, and all those things with absolute attention and focus on delivering results, positive, tangible results to the people who we work with. So somebody who delivers excellent customer service, above all listens. They listen. They make time and they listen. They will ask questions. They'll take a genuine interest in whatever's being said. And they'll ask more questions. And they'll listen some more. Where appropriate, and there will be situations, if you're chatting with people, generally that this may not apply, because we don't want to be giving unsolicited advice, but where appropriate, and then perhaps asking for it, perhaps in, say, in a hypnotic consultation, you'll offer solutions. And you will check for satisfaction. And you'll know that you've delivered, because they'll tell you that, and because they'll go and tell other people that they were amazing, that you are amazing. You know what, I went to see Rich, and my fear was gone, my anxiety was gone, I stopped smoking, and then I went and told a bunch of other people. And I get this all the time. I have people who, like, we're on the 4th or 5th generation of family members and friends, who they've referred, and years later, other people are coming to see me. And I really, really love that. And that's why I want to get on to, say, the hypnotic consultation. I'm going to go through and I'm going to talk to you about screening, about different stages you go through, about using language to be able to go through this process of being able to get people inspired at the end. And that particular strategy, it's very, very powerful. There are loads of things that we can do to influence people in our profession, that's for sure. That's what we do. We are influencers. But if you are doing that with positive intention to deliver value to the other person for their highest good and for the highest good of all concerned, then that's where, for me, that we're in the right ethical place. And if we're doing that with the overall framework of excellent customer service, where we are adding value through care, attention, and professionalism, then they will be very, very happy. They will be thrilled with us. They will be ecstatic. They will be leaving positive reviews. They will be referring people to you, and you'll feel good. And then, in fact, they will feel very happy paying you handsomely for that. Okay. And remember, of course, by paying you handsomely, it enhances the whole context, gets them ready to trigger that little switch inside their mind, the same switch that happens when the placebo effect is triggered, where they just totally believe that everything's going to take care of itself. And at that point, it is job done, and they will move on in their lives. So that's the difference between excellent customer service and mediocre customer service. You are a skillful person, there's no doubt about it. Your skill levels in your area, in your particular niche, your particular industry, are superlative, and they're growing. And this is a way in which you can squeeze the most juice out of every interaction. every training that you do, every Facebook Live that you do. You know, when I come to this, you know, and I'm starting, you know, whenever I'm doing it during the day, I'm just thinking to myself, you know what, I'm so excited. It's as though I'm chatting with like my best friend in the world, or somebody, you know, a colleague who is just our most interested, and we're sharing from the heart. And I'm just going in and I'm giving you 17 years of, I've been thinking about this and the experience, my research and that. Totally everything that I could fully and possibly be aware of, every concern, every potential objection, any worry, anything that's getting in the way of you being able to masterfully progress at the most efficient way, in the most elegant way, the most pleasurable way, in the most satisfying way, getting the best results that you can. I'm totally, with every fibre of my being, going to give every ounce of energy that I've got to making sure that happens. And that's what you want to be doing, because then you are somebody who is really an industry expert. You're credible, you're authoritative, you are trustworthy, and you're inspiring people. So how to add ongoing consistent value as a therapist, coach and friend? Well, remember we said that what do people need? Fundamentally, and I know Alex William-Smith likes to talk about this, the Human Gibbons model, and he has 7 different elements that he talks about, which fundamentally we can encapsulate as self-worth, you know, self-love and self-respect and self-esteem, all coming towards this thing of self-worth, which fundamentally is, once that is in place, pretty much most habits will just drop away anyway, most fears. Now, there may be other things that you want to do around that as well, depending on the severity and the challenges of what you're doing. But it's so fundamental. It's at the core of so many things. So what people need is to feel loved and listened to. As we've already said, a lot of people who have illnesses, and for instance, things like migraines, some of the time, some of those people are getting secondary gain from that through the attention that they get. And I've seen this happen on quite a few occasions, but I've seen it many occasions with many types of illness and problem, that people around them will say, oh, you poor thing, all this kind of stuff with the best of intention, but what it does is it holds them back. So what people need is, if they feel loved inside, they feel like they're getting attention, and of course you can give attention to them by paying attention to them, giving them full attention, and by just listening and not being drawn into any drama and just really being present for them. That's what they need. But what they get, what they actually get, is something very different. People typically they end up going down the route of those things because they're ignored, they're interrupted. Often parental figures will get annoyed if they start showing initiative when they're little and start shouting at them. Society has a kind of like in many ways it's become even more sort of like homogenous, so people are expected to sort of, do this or follow this thing or this particular fashion or behave in this particular way, rather than just being able to be themselves. And so people need self-worth. What they tend to get is, they don't, not that. So how can you add value? Well, you can make time for those small acts of kindness. We talked about, a little like on Facebook, a little comment, a little, I really love what you've done there. You can, following up with a client, a little call, a phone call to a friend, bumping into somebody you haven't seen for a while, a little smile. It's great to see you, or making time to do these things is a way that you can add value. When you're designing your products, when you're doing your Facebook Live, think about the things that, think about the one thing that your customer, for instance, many of your clients really need, and totally, with every fibre of your being, give them a solution, give them some or some steps so they feel inspired in your 2-3 minute presentation that you do, and get on there and do that. And even if you feel that you're not somebody who's confident getting up and getting in front of people, the very fact that you're absolutely focused, completely focused on their person, it comes through in your enthusiasm, comes through in your passion and your excitement, which means that the old problem that they used to have it's simply not there. Any doubt understanding why your performance anxiety will just go, because you're so committed to adding value to that other person that you value that more than you used to value trying to avoid it because it made you feel uncomfortable. You are so committed to adding value to other people, because the thing is that if you're not adding value, and if you're not there talking to them, if you're not sharing what you do, if you're not marketing what you do, then there are no people benefiting from your services, which means that people in the world are worse off because you're not adding value to them, because they're not able to benefit from the fact that you have these skills. You are a skilled professional. You are somebody who makes a massive difference. And it really is important. You make this difference. You make a massive difference to people's lives. And of course, that's why we're here supporting each other and sharing stuff. And you will have areas that you've mastered that you're going to be able to share with me as well, and that I can learn from. And this is wonderful. You know, there's over 8 billion people in the world. There is no shortage of business. There are no shortage of people who will pay to come and who want to use our services to transform their lives. But beyond that, when we embody this whole thing of making sure that we leave people, if we bump into somebody and we meet them and we have a conversation, energetically and emotionally, at the end of that, does that person feel enriched? Do they feel inspired? Or do they feel, oh my God? Because, you know, we've all met people who are like, how are you doing? Oh, I'm okay. And it's been one of those weeks, right? There are people like that, okay? You're already getting a sense, aren't you, that, yeah, you kind of wish you hadn't asked that question, you know, because now you're up here and now you're down here. Now, of course, you don't have to be. It can be that happens. You might drop, and then you can like, oh, okay, right. I'm aware of this. Okay, let's back off a little bit. Let's put their shields up. But there are people like that who, unfortunately, they very, very unconscious, you know, and they will start talking about, you know, oh yeah, well, you know, my ex-husband from 10 years ago, he used to do this. You know, why are you talking about something that happened 10 years ago? You know, when we're, you know, so it's really important that that we are aware of that, because sometimes very small things in our physiology or our tone of voice can add the right value to other people. They can take it away. So let me give some examples. Remember, and you know, you don't need me to tell you this, that 55% of your communication is the way you use your body and your breathing and your gestures. 38% is your voice tonality and your rhythm, and the actual kind of some of those qualities of your voice, where 70% is just words. But somebody might say, for instance, you know, oh, did you? I heard you went away last week, and what was that like? Oh, I had a brilliant time. I went to Rochdale, or you know, I went to Rochdale, and the other person goes, oh, what? Do you get it? So they have just in that one utterance, that one tone of voice, I go, oh, you know, and they've immediately deflated things on an energetic level. So instead of adding value and energy and positivity to interaction, they've reduced it. Now, this might sound slightly esoteric and stuff, but we'll look at a few more examples here, because honestly, this is absolutely fundamental and key, because you want to inspire people so that they, you know, you want to inspire people so that by the end of every interaction with them, whether it's a newsletter that you send out, whether it's a Facebook Live, whether it's a hypnotic induction, whether it's an interview you do, whatever kind of marketing you do, you want them to be smiling, you want maybe them to have some fun, you want them to feel inside, you know, this attitude of you can do it. You know, I can do it. You want them to feel wow inside, inspired in some way, like, oh, that was really interesting. And that feeling, if you can carry that inspiration through so the person feels better, you know, because pretty much in any interaction you have with somebody, it's going to go one way. So it's not going to stay the same. They're either going to feel better or they're going to feel worse. So if you go in and you sort of like bump, you meet someone in your office and it's like, oh, I've got to do this and do that. And can you do this for me? Look, this is really difficult, but I need you to handle this. And the other person feels down here afterwards, then you are not adding value. And of course, in our industry, what we want to do is leave people always feeling better than when they came to see us, whether it's for a consultation, whether it's meeting them the first time. And as we start to do this with our colleagues and friends, it builds these relationships up so that when somebody does need something, they know they can, you know, who are you going to call? Yeah, they're going to call you. So this whole concept of inspiring will feed into your marketing. So your website inspires people, your blogs inspire them, your lecture demos inspire them, your press releases inspire people, so that not only are you talking to them and speaking their language, but they finish up there feeling like, wow, there is hope. I mean, years ago, I remember that I had a call from, I'll tell you it's very brief, but I mean, I had a call from a lady, a Polish lady called Alex, and she's very kindly gave me a wonderful testimonial. And Alex phoned me up, and I've never had a conversation with this before, but I went, hello? She said, hello? I said, hello? And she said, hello? Is there any hope? That's all she said. There was no, there was no preamble. There was no. She hadn't introduced herself. She just said, "Is there any hope?" And I was like, And I remember I was walking through the park as I took this call. I was coming up towards this really nice weir, and I said, "Well, there's always hope." I said, "Tell me a little bit more." And it turned out that various things had happened in life, and she'd gone in every year, and her dream was to be a world champion bodybuilder, and she had been training very hard for this for 5 years. She'd been training 3 times a day for 1 hour, 6 days a week, very intensely, high intensity, doing something called natural bodybuilding. And she had, on the days of her talk, when it came to the actual days of the competition, she'd started feeling inside herself that she wasn't good enough. And some basic old childhood anchors were coming up. And so I said, yeah, of course. And then when she came to work with me, we did our sessions. Got a long story short, she became a double world champion after we worked together. And I was, we were thrilled, and we were invited on BBC Radio. But it's really interesting because she phoned me up, and the very first thing was, is there any hope? And we transformed that. In that call, she felt inspired, and I was very clear with her that she absolutely could do that. And I followed up, and I delivered on that, and I added that value. And of course, this isn't like me saying, "Oh, I flipped a switch." No. I did a bunch of things with her that you could learn to do very easily, even if you don't do them. Some anchoring, deep trance identification, some mental rehearsal techniques. It's not rocket science, okay? But I created the right context in which she felt inspired and absolutely began to believe in herself, because I absolutely believed with her from the get-go. And so this is what you want to do. And this is, of course, bringing this certainty into your work. Again, feeds into the whole placebo effect of creating context in which things are switched inside a person's mind. Because another way to talk about that is belief, faith, expectation, confidence. Okay, so when you're that person who creates that context of person, you are adding value to them. You're transforming them. I mean, you're taking somebody at the beginning of a call who says, "Is there any hope?" And at the end of it, they're like, "Oh, I feel so relieved. I feel relieved now." Okay, so you're adding massive value to people, but you must be aware of this, that all your interactions in life have that potential, and the more that you do that, and you don't have to be. And I'm not saying that you need to put there and just be backing out. "Oh, tell me more," and never say anything. Have fun, have a laugh, smile, make eye contact with people, make a suggestion if it's appropriate. But here's the thing: you're always aware of the transaction of energy, the emotional energy in any transaction you're with, and you should both feel uplifted. You should both feel more cared for, more valued, more self-worth. Because when you do that, then you are doing the very things that you got into this profession to do, which is to help people change. Because just for you in life, you want people to be happy, and you believe in that, and you care about people, and that will come across. So this whole thing of inspiring is absolutely crucial. To do that, you need to manage your state. Emotionally, you must come from a place of compassion. And there are things that you can do. There's mindfulness techniques that we will probably look at, some simple ones that you can do other than the ones we did on day 2, which will help you very easily be able to get into that state and stay in that state. You must listen. You must not try to fix things, okay? Respect their experience. If they're telling you something, wanting to fix something, if somebody says, oh, this happened and that happened, you start saying, oh, right, now what you want to do is this, and what you want to do is that, and what you want to do is this. Well, wanting to fix that problem presupposes the very problem into existence. You see, you are taking something they're saying, assuming it's a problem, almost giving it form by an energy by assuming it's a problem, and then giving them advice, which so not only you're assuming the problem, presupposing the problem into existence, you're also presupposing that whatever they were saying, that they can't figure it out by themselves, which means that really they're just simply not good enough, are they? Because really, because you have to go and give them advice. And so it also feeds into patterns of secondary gain, for instance, attention seeking. So listening without judgment is the antidote to that. You don't assume. There's a book, Clean Language, which we've got over here. We're still getting stuff unloaded in the new house. And did I have that over here? Or have I moved that somewhere else? I think I've moved somewhere else. But anyway, Clean Language is a way where you can explore the metaphors that people are using without delving, without getting stuck into trying to basically put fish in their dreams. So somebody would say, oh, I had a bad day today. Oh, and then you would say, well, what kind of bad day was that bad day? And then you sit back and listen. So your kid comes back from school and says, oh, somebody shouted at me today, or somebody wasn't nice to me today. Oh, and what kind of not nice was that? Well, I sat down and then they went and shoved me along because they wanted to sit in the seat, and it made me feel like this. And you say, oh, okay. So now you're really finding out what's going on for them rather than actually trying to mind read and guess and hallucinate things that happen. And it's a really interesting approach. It's basically 2 questions that you ask, and there's a few extra ones you ask. So, but I just mentioned that because active listening with benign attention, with 100% undivided attention on the other person, is the kind of the energetic aspect of adding value. So you're interested in the other person. You get back to them quickly in your business. We've already discovered that the quicker you get back to somebody, the quicker you confirm an appointment, the quicker that you communicate the text message. I'll send a text message of now, your appointment's confirmed, and I've also emailed you the pre-session questionnaire. You do that rapidly and quickly. It just reassures people that you are. You're like the Amazon Prime. You're there. Right. It's okay. It's going to be the next day. It's pretty much I pressed the button. I pressed order. Now it's taken care of. You must be that person because that's what the customer expects, and it presupposes excellence by just adding that value. The quality of your attention, it must be undivided. So you can't assume that if you're on a mobile phone and just checking things, yeah, I hear. It's all right, I'm listening. No, it's all right, I'm listening. Right? Now, I know there are times when we do that. I know there's times I do that. But if you really want to give somebody undivided attention, you will not be doing that. You get feedback. So you need to be open to feedback and that they give you, or that, just if they give it to you. And pay attention to cues so that you can adjust your behavior, because one part of adding value is that if you're doing something and it's really grating, or it's not working, or it's not helping the other person, then you're just going to stop doing it. Just stop it and do something else. And you're going to be continually asking yourself, how can I do better? And here's the truth, here's the kind of the core of it in terms of being an excellent hypnotist and coach and therapist, and somebody who takes this commitment seriously to their industry to deliver the best customer service through robust processes and a robust philosophy right the way through, and that comes through in everything they do, that you simply are true to your word. You're prompt and you deliver on your promises. You simply need to be true to your word, prompt, and deliver on your promises. And I'm going to read that again because it's so vital. Simply be true to your word, prompt, and totally deliver on all your promises. And I just want to kind of like wrap things up today, because I hope you can see that not only is this absolutely like something so simple and easy to weave into all aspects of your life, through to a friend of yours puts a tweet out and you retweet it, you're giving a little bit of love to that, and you are adding value to them, and you are supporting them, to sharing something they put on Facebook, to sending a text message saying I'm thinking of you, or thank you for the help that you've done, or these simple small things, that simple gratitude. And we know how powerful gratitude is, right? I'm sure you have lots of friends and you've read many books on this and you've heard it many times before. But if we're going to transform, and we're in the process of helping people transform, the number one thing they need transformed is their sense of self-worth. To work, all the kind of things together that will map into what we might call self-worth. You may use a slightly different word or different term for that, and that's absolutely fine, because it's about feeling loved, cherished, feeling cared for, feeling okay, being who you are, just feeling good enough, and that it's fine for you to be who you are. We're in the business of helping people transform, and we need to help people transform what they are getting, what they're currently getting that's not so great, into what they need and want. So as hypnotherapists, as coaches, we are taking people in that direction. We are helping transform what they are getting, what they're currently getting, and we need to transform it into what they need or what they want. So typically, the people around, and when we did the client empathy map, we looked at, what are people around them saying, what are people around them doing? And typically, unless you're surrounded by, people like in our industry, or, who are really into personal development and mindfulness and taking responsibility for themselves, and, who use hypnosis and who really believe in the power of the mind, oftentimes there are some, shall we say, people just act very much unconsciously around them, with their family or friends. People think they are being very helpful and positive towards them, but actually they're not necessarily helping that person feel totally validated inside. So typically what people get is they are interrupted. So they start to speak, and the other person is waiting for their turn to say something. And you see them they start going, and then you see their lips going, what they're doing is they're waiting for their turn to speak. Typically what people get is, you say something you want to do, and they go, oh, that's a bit weird. And when someone says that's weird, they mean you're weird. A lot of people feel like they're being told to, or they're just being spoken to. They're corrected. They're given advice. They feel unworthy because of that, because the whole essence of this is that if people keep telling you things and interrupting you the moment you start saying something, then you feel like, A, you're not worthy enough to be listened to, B, that they must think you're a bit stupid, and C, that you clearly, people have to tell you what to do because you just aren't worthy enough of being able to do that yourself. And they experience, but what else do they experience? They basically experience poor customer service through disinterest. And they have they're at the behest of culturally constructed expectations. Girls should be like this, women should be like that, men of this age should be like that, people in this job should be like that, or, oh, you shouldn't be thinking that, or, well, what are you, what have you got to be, grateful? You've got this job and you've got this money. Honestly, people can have all the money in the world. If they don't feel loved and worthy inside themselves, they can feel very empty, very depressed, very lonely. And quite often what will happen is there's no sympathy, there's no support in society, there's no support in their network for that, particularly if they're with other people who perhaps, shall we say, are of a less deep nature than you are. And so by the very fact that you are somebody who can listen and give attention to them and actually not judge them, you are totally setting yourself apart. Because then when it comes to, for instance, if you're doing that in a particular consultation and somebody really is lacking very much that self-worth, And the fact that you are with them and you are listening to them and you are caring and you let them know that absolutely are things that can be done and that you can do that, and they feel inspired by that, or they feel at least uplifted to the point of hope, they will feel very happy coming to see you because you've already added value. And then what you do, of course, is you deliver on your promises. You totally deliver on your promise, which is why, again, with the system that we have, the rich system, the rapid instant change hypnosis system, everything is, there is a lot of scope, a massive amount of scope. It's very ecumenical. You can use any of your techniques and tools from any schools within this, but in the way that you approach your marketing, in the way that you prepare for every session, in the way that you will literally, even to the degree of the convincers, run them through, pantomime that out loud, using gestures before your clients come, to having checklists, to the way that you approach your session, to the mindset there, to having a very understanding the whole journey that a client goes through right to the end, to producing an MP3 for them, to the follow-up that you do. This is all underpinned by making sure that you are there, metaphorically holding the hand of the customer at every step, the client, every step of this journey, saying, go on, you can take the next step, it's okay, I'm here with you. You're there for them, and you are doing that, and because of that, you are not only the consummate professional, but you are somebody who has added massive value to them. And so if that's what most people experience in their lives, and certainly for the customers who come to see you, the majority of them will have a fair number of these, probably all of them. Instead, your job is to consciously focus on service to others, and also be very aware of the impact you have. So you're consciously focusing always on adding value. Now, that doesn't mean that you say, and this is very different from, by the way, you see, some people think they're adding value by saying, oh, yeah, no, so what you want to do is you want to do this, and you want to do that. No, if you start doing that, you're not adding value, because the fact that you keep saying that to a person means it's A, it's self-indulgent, but B, you are, in essence, giving a meta-communication to the other person that they can't figure things out for themselves. If you want somebody to figure out something for themselves, and you want to do that in a caring and loving and appreciative way, then you use the lesson that we've done on the power of questions. You ask them a question. Oh, that's really interesting. So this is going on. So what's going on with this then? Is that is that a problem? You could even ask them, is that a problem for you, or how is that a problem for you? Particularly if it was like a client company, who was, or somebody who was making an inquiry. And then you can delve into it in more detail, and you can start to find out the information. But you're letting them explain it to you. And if they just say, well, it's not, I guess it's not really a problem. It's just, I had a lot on my plate of late, and this came up today, and I just felt a bit tired. And I really like, I feel better just talking to you. And you can just go, oh, that's really cool. I really love talking to you. And so that little interaction could just be exactly what they need. They feel better. They've told you that. Maybe perhaps that's even a friend who's called you, and the friend says, oh, this is happening. And you say, oh, tell me about it. They say, oh, it's just, I just feel a bit tired. I had all these things going by. It's just really nice that you listened there. And so you've had that interaction. You haven't needed to give advice. You haven't needed to interrupt them, give them a suggestion. You've just been there. You give them permission to be who they are and be in their power. And everyone feels uplifted as a result of that interaction, because you have added extra value. You've added value to that person. So our job is to consciously focus on service to others. That basically means that we accept them as they are by listening and being present without judgment, to the point that we give them permission to be themselves, because we take an interest in them, which means they feel inside that they have permission to change, or that they can give themselves permission to change. So they feel appreciated, so they feel cared for, because you are giving them undivided attention. And here's where everything goes. This is where we will finish today. This is where we are ending up, because you are accepting people as they are, because you have this commitment to excellence in customer service, because you have this excellence to your craft, this commitment to your industry to be the best therapist and coach, the best presenter, the best version of yourself you can be for other people, because you care about other people transforming and in that way making the world a better place. You accept people as they are by listening and being present for them without judgment, which means you are helping them give themselves permission to be themselves, to the point where they know that you're taking an interest, which means they fully have permission to change. They can give themselves permission to change. That makes them feel appreciated because you obviously care, because you are totally giving them undivided attention. And this is the point. This then creates the context that presupposes self-worth into existence. You see, self-worth is it's a word, it's a label. As we've seen, the evidence is so strong that we can very reasonably and with confidence know that by triggering the placebo effect, a person will change. If we create that context, they're going to change. Then simply by being there for them in this way, by adding value in this way, by creating value in all the materials that we do that creates this inspiration, this hope, this belief in other people, and we make sure that we deliver on that and that we are totally congruent with that, because we have robust systems in place, because our skills are constantly we hone our skills, our ability to convince us, our skills with hypnotic language, all this stuff, constantly, so that we are totally prepared. It creates a context that presupposes self-worth into existence. The very fact that you are adding value, the very fact that you are paying attention to a person means that they are worthy. The very fact that you are listening without interrupting means that they feel self-worth. The very fact that you are making time for them and giving them positive suggestions means that you have self-worth. The very fact that a person can be making time to talk to you directly means that you have complete and utter self-worth. The very fact that they speak to you without interrupting you, or that they listen without interrupting, and when they're speaking they are obviously inspired and they want to completely give that attention and time to you, means that you have self-worth. So by giving undivided attention, by doing these things, by making the shift to this, by giving undivided attention, it creates the context that presupposes self-worth into existence. And that, my friends, is the magic of hypnosis. This is the magic of working in this way. The magical traditions that we come from, that really are traditions, that very much like the shamans of old. We are, perhaps the shaman would, have his little magic rattle or whatever, and things would, people would get better and believe in things because of that, because it was culturally constructed that way. By creating, as part of our life, giving undivided attention, by giving kindness to people without question, by adding value, by giving them likes, by supporting them, by smiling, by doing all these things, we create a context that presupposes self-worth into existence. Because at the unconscious level, that person starts to feel better, they start to feel valued, they start to feel self-appreciation. The fact that people around them, or at least one person, totally believes in them, totally makes time for them, totally cares for them, means that they improve, that things get better. And of course, once that self-worth is presupposed into existence, that it must logically be true, or the unconscious mind may reason that it absolutely has to be true without anyone saying it, because the very fact that other people are behaving in this way towards them and making time for them and showing them, care and appreciation means that they must be valuable. And so it's presupposed into existence in their internal model of the world, their internal map of the world, their schema, simply by value of the fact that you're adding value. And so I just really love this. And I think as we finish up here tonight, I want you to take this away that you are a wonderful, valuable person. You've added value to me today by even taking a few minutes to be here, even if you've just listened to a bit of the call. You have added massive value to me because you've allowed me to do what I love, which is share my passion of learning this and poring over this and spending many, many years studying with people and researching and just getting together, making lots of mistakes, but getting to the point where I can actually see what works and actually produce these models and be able to share that with like-minded people, and to be able to live my dream of being able to present and train and coach coaches and mentor people and be able to produce something that is transformative for them, that helps the industry improve. So the fact that I have somebody who even takes a few minutes to be there and listen and absorb this is massive, and then it just is fantastic for me. So you've already added value to me today, but beyond that, inside of everything that you've been experiencing, as you've been going inside and learning this information unconsciously, your conscious mind has had certain thoughts, but your unconscious mind has been taking this to a very deep level. And you will find that this metaphors and stories and information which you've been considering and learning today in many new ways can go to a very, very deep place. That deep place in sight that allows you to improve your life. That place that even beyond that, where great ideas come from, where your creative ideas pour out of you. Because tonight, as you go to bed, you will sleep and you will dream. And as you sleep and dream, learnings get consolidated and integrated at a very deep level inside. To the point where beyond anything you've done before, your unconscious mind processes new learnings in light of other insights that you've had and reevaluates old learnings in light of new insights now. So that the business of hypnosis is something that becomes even more easy for you, because you realize at a very deep level that marketing is hypnosis, which means that as you add value in all the things that you do, and with the simple definition of adding value of the other person feeling better, more inspired, having more energy, feeling more potential, or feeling that they can do more in their life, or just feeling happier inside as a result of interacting with you either directly or indirectly through your marketing materials, it means that your unconscious mind has a very clear way now to generate ideas for you. Because to the degree that you want to get clients and build your business up and have new ideas and expand, your unconscious mind now has a wonderful blueprint that it can use to ask, how can I add more value to this group of people or to this person? And how can I continue to add value in all my interactions in wonderful ways? Perhaps a positive message, perhaps a positive comment, perhaps something, and I don't know exactly what that is, but as you sleep and dream at night, in this wonderful way to the deepest, wonderful state of sleep, your unconscious mind will continue to consolidate learning such that when you wake up, you can feel inspired and refreshed. And over the coming days and weeks, be completely surprised and delighted at the wonderful ways in which this information can continue to enhance your life, to improve your life. Where new ideas to new particular people and the way that you seem to just interact with people and just enjoy those interactions seems to manifest in wonderful new and positive ways, which means that as you continue now to take learnings to a very deep level, consciously you can just really enjoy having had this experience and this time to reflect on this concept that what you're always doing in any interaction is you are either, you are making making a commitment to add value. And because you do that, you are valuable. And because you're valuable to the other person, your life continues to get better, your level of trust, your level of rapport, the level of responsiveness that people have with you continues to improve. So I want to thank you so much again for being with me today. Tomorrow we're just going to get into something that is just now you have this in place. We are just going to continue to skyrocket now in terms of the material and the content that we're going to cover. We have a lot of fantastic content to cover. So just whatever you've got for the rest of today, thank you for your time. Let it continue to be brilliant, continue to shine, and we'll catch up tomorrow. Thank you.